Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A tragedy on Father's Day. Two Macomb County sisters killed in a crash on I-75 up north, and their father witnessed the whole thing.
Also, federal agents take down a Macomb County doctor accused of flooding the streets with illegal drugs.
But first, it's been 15 months since the first COVID-19 restrictions were put in place. In a few hours, that's set to change.
All of that coming up on Local 4 News at 6. We need to begin, though, with breaking news from Detroit's west side, which is where a 6-month-old girl has been found alive with 2 shooting victims.
Yeah, this all happened on North Lawn near Wyoming and Curtis. Tim Pamplin is live on the scene with more. Tim.
Yeah, it's a terribly disturbing scene out here. This home on the corner is where police found that young 6-month-old girl. She's still on the scene here with other family members. Family members arriving on the scene. When police made their way inside this home, they found an adult male and female bound and both shot. The 6-month-old little girl was apparently unharmed. She's still here at the scene with family members, like I say. Police, homicide detectives have just arrived on the scene along with the crime scene investigators, but an awful scene here in northwest Detroit. We're going to stay on the scene, have much more later on. That's the scene right now in northwest Detroit. Tim Pamplin, back to you.
All right, Tim. Well, today is the last day that capacity limits and mask requirements will be in effect across the state of Michigan.
At midnight, nearly all of the state's COVID-19 restrictions will be rolled back. All indoor and outdoor capacity limits will be lifted, meaning restaurants and bars can operate at full capacity, and masks are no longer required indoors, regardless of your vaccination status. However, businesses are allowed to set their own guidelines. Some orders in long-term care facilities and testing will remain. The state was originally supposed to fully reopen on July 1st, but Governor Whitmer says the promising COVID trends led to that timeline being accelerated.
Shows people are taking it seriously. Our vaccinations continue to increase. So to people who've not yet gotten vaccinated, please do get your questions answered. But these vaccinations really are the key to getting back to normal.
And with those restrictions expiring tomorrow, businesses are feeling the crunch to hire more workers.
Tonight, experts weigh in on what is needed to be done to get more employees back on the job. Let's get to Grant Herms with more. Grant.
We're in Troy along Rochester and Big Beaver, and we talked to managers in almost all of these businesses, and they said that they need people and they need them now. Some of them are hiring, some of them are paying above minimum wage, but at the end of the day, they all need staff. None of these businesses wanted to talk today. Most of them slammed with customers, but all of them with fewer than 50 employees. And it's those small to medium-sized businesses that have taken the hardest hits, according to experts. And those same experts say these businesses need to be doing more to attract old and new employees.
What can businesses do to attract workers? They have to ask themselves that.
According to a survey done by the Detroit Regional Chamber, more than 20% of employees said they didn't feel safe going back to work, and almost 14% said they wanted better wages and benefits too.
What it really comes down to is if businesses want to attract workers, they have to make the jobs more attractive. Maybe that means raising wages. Maybe it means providing paid sick leave or family leave, or adjusting their scheduling so that the scheduling is more predictable.
Now, there are still billions of federal dollars on the table that are set aside for businesses. Some of that money, the governor wants to take unemployment insurance from the federal government and extend that to September 4th for people who go back to work at their old job or a new job. But so far, that has not gotten much support from lawmakers in Lansing. Back to you.
Fascinating conundrum at the moment. All right, Grant.
All right, now to the latest coronavirus numbers. The state reports 327 new cases. That's a 3-day total from Saturday through today. New numbers will no longer be released on the weekend. And sadly, we've lost 35 Michiganders in the last 72 hours.
On the vaccine front, 60.8% of people in the state have received at least one vaccine dose. That's remaining stubbornly steady at the moment. Today, Canada announced it will ease travel restrictions for fully vaccinated Canadian citizens and permanent residents. They'll be allowed to cross the border without quarantining starting July 5th. But right now, no change for U.S. citizens.
A Macomb County family in mourning tonight after 2 sisters are killed in a crash on Father's Day. It happened Sunday afternoon on I-75 near South Old 27 Highway in Bagley Township. State police say the girl's father was driving in a car ahead of them and saw the whole thing. Priya Mann joins us live now. And Priya, we're learning that the family, they were headed on a family vacation up north.
Yeah, that's right, Kim. This was supposed to be a nice getaway. It's now turned into a nightmare for this Richmond family. They were heading northbound on I-75. A driver in the southbound lanes lost control, crossed the median. At the last second, the dad swerved to avoid being hit and then watched that out-of-control driver slam into the vehicle his daughters were in.
Can't imagine this happening on Father's Day, witnessing your daughters being killed in a car crash.
Two sisters from Richmond were in this Toyota Prius driving behind their dad's vehicle when they were hit by a woman who crossed the median on I-75 in Bagley Township.
He swerves to miss a car coming toward him that's coming from the southbound lane and strikes the vehicle that his two daughters are in.
22-year-old Kaylee Polzin and 16-year-old Sarah Polzin died instantly.
And he pulled over immediately, witnessing the crash, went back to the vehicle, and he knew right away. He said that both of his daughters had passed.
The sisters were in this Prius being driven by a close girlfriend who the family says was more like an adopted daughter. They were hit by a 21-year-old Harrison woman who was driving a Mercury Montego. When troopers arrived, she was critically injured, lying on the ground next to her car.
She had a large wound on her right leg. She was bleeding out rapidly. He thought quickly, all of our troopers, they carry tourniquets. He applied a tourniquet to her leg to stop the bleeding, which probably ended up saving her life.
Witnesses told state police the woman was trying to avoid another car in the southbound lanes of I-75 when she lost control and hit the car the sisters were in.
If you go play it back in time and you ask the father, he would probably tell you he'd rather have his vehicle be hit. But again, you don't know what's going to happen. Our heart goes out to them, the families, and the victims.
Yeah, you just can't imagine what this family is going through. Now, at this time, state police do not believe alcohol, drugs, or speed was a factor. That young woman has not been charged. Both drivers are expected to make a full recovery. Reporting live tonight, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
Yeah, just awful. Okay, Priya, thanks.
All right, let's get a check of our weather now.
Yeah, Ben joins us with a look at our forecast, see how things are shaping up on this first full day of summer, Ben.
Well, it's cool, guys. That's probably the best way to put it. We've got a little bit of blue sky out there around the clouds, but we're going to see a lot fewer of these clouds as we get through the rest of tonight. Look at these temperatures. Afternoon, evening numbers in the 60s. Monroe 68, Howell, one of the cooler spots, is 65. And that northwest wind has been pretty gusty most of the day, but you can see some of these gusts, 20 to 25 miles per hour. They are on their way down. And as the winds calm down tonight and the clouds clear out, yes, we've got a cool night ahead of us. 47 in the metro zone, and that's going to be one of our warmer numbers by tomorrow morning. We'll look at an increasingly unsummer-like start to summer and see when the thunderstorms come back in just a few minutes. Guys?
Ben, federal agents put a stop to a multi-million-dollar drug ring allegedly run by a Macomb County doctor. The FBI executed a search warrant this morning at a home in Macomb Township. Officers took several boxes of evidence out of the home. Let's bring in Sean Lay. Sean, we're talking about some very serious charges here for the doctor.
Devin, you're correct. Let's get right to those charges. The doctor and 5 others facing charges of conspiracy to illegally distribute prescription drugs. The feds tell me this was bold, it's incredibly dangerous, and you're right. It included a 72-year-old doctor. An early morning FBI raid of this home in the 17,000 block of Pienza in Macomb Township. The feds blowing the lid off of a dangerous, disturbing, and potentially deadly case. The U.S. attorney says in this nondescript building on Oakman and Dearborn and in an office building here on Greater Mac and St. Clair Shores, investigators say a 72-year-old doctor named Lawrence Sherman of Shelby Township and a team of 5 others allegedly recruited people to come in and for cash, Dr. Sherman would allegedly write them prescriptions they did not need for some of the most powerful painkillers, oxycodone and oxymorphone, incredibly addictive and in demand for resale on the street. Acting U.S. Attorney for this district, Simon Motion, tells us in general, flooding the streets with these pills destroys lives and families.
It is a huge deal. You know, the idea that medical professionals, for them to do something like engage in this type of behavior, which endangers people in Michigan and elsewhere, is just appalling.
The allegations from March 2020 through June 2021, the owners and operators and employees of the 2 locations called Tranquility Wellness Center counter, worked to bring people in, accepted cash for fake medical records, accepted cash for massive amounts of drugs.
If they're doctors or if they're pharmacists, we're really paying attention because that's a double whammy.
Double whammy indeed. Let's talk about the amount of drugs flooding the streets just from these allegations here. The Fed's telling me that this 72-year-old doctor allegedly wrote prescriptions to put out more than 440,000 doses of these highly addictive drugs. Back to you.
Boy. All right, Sean. Well, the results are in. Does the COVID-19 vaccine affect male infertility?
Coming up, a new study answers that question.
Also, Detroit police hope new video will help catch the man accused in a triple shooting that injured a father and his son.